It's nice when both Jesus and his cousin rip into you. The letter of St. James, of course, is written by James, who is the cousin of the Lord, and it's a very strong message to us. We've been reading from the letter of St. James all week, and you can see very clearly he's been listening to his cousin, speaking about the fact that, if you give away to the poor, you're storing up treasure for yourself in heaven. Jesus said, if you would be perfect, you would sell all that you have, give to the poor, and then you will have treasure in heaven. But now James is turning it on its head to say, if actually you store up riches earthly here, you're also storing up for something in heaven. You're storing up condemnation for yourself. And so we see the list of that. See, all of your things that you store up for yourself, they will basically mock you on the last day. So it's a very strong word for us, right? To just recognize that we're so focused on our earthly security, and indeed, none of it we can take with us, not any of it at all. And so we ask the Lord for the grace to be able to look at things as they truly are. And then we come to the Lord, and it's sort of a list of almost proverb wisdom sayings that may seem a little disconnected, but we can kind of tie them together and recognize that poverty of spirit that we need to have, that we would not be attached to possessions, that we would be willing to serve others, that we would not promote ideas that are wrong. Like it all is thrown in together. But the one that I focus on the most in our day today is kind of the self-control area, because we haven't yet resisted to the point of shedding blood. Although it's hyperbole, we have to ask ourselves, are we willing to cut out anything in our life that's leading us to sin? Any activity, any pastime? It's amazing to me how many people who tell me, Father, I got a problem with, watching something I shouldn't. And I'm like, well, where do you watch that on? Well, my phone. Are you willing to give up your phone? No. It's like, well, do you watch those stuff on anything else? No. Do you know where the problem is? Yes. Right? Are you willing to give it up? Oh, you don't understand, Father. Oh, I do understand. I understand very well. I was totally distracted when I got my smartphone after becoming a priest, which is why I gave it up. I had to give it up to show people it's possible. We all lived without smartphones more than 15 years ago, right? So the fact of the matter is we're making excuses for ourselves. Oh, it's a different world now, or like I can't live without it. And it's like, yeah, we just don't want to. I have this conversation hundreds of times. Like, it doesn't matter. I'll say it here, I'll say it there, I'll say it everywhere. So if you've heard me say it before, I have said it in many occasions, because the fact is it's the same. I understand very clearly the fact is the smartphone has completely rewired our brains. Kids who have grown up with it, and that's the thing, the problem is the older generation, they don't understand how fundamentally the smartphone has changed the brain chemistry of this generation. Our kids, if they have a smartphone from when they were a child, they do not think the same way you do. Their brains do not work the same way you do, and self-control is impossible if they do not get rid of it. So I tell parents, do not give your kids a smart device. Do not. Do not, do not, do not. And if you already have, take it away. Like, no, I don't want to deal with it. I know you don't, but it's killing them. It's killing us. We're all cocaine addicts, just like pumping it into our system all day long, and we think it's normal because everyone's doing it. It's not normal. It's killing us. And it's causing us to sin. I have not yet met somebody who owns one of them who uses it virtuously, unless if they only started using it when they're like a senior citizen, But like somebody who grew up with it, I have never seen anyone grow up with it and use it well. I notice we're getting really quiet. Right? Because the gospel is real, and we're like, oh yeah, I don't need to cut off my hand. Like some people might feel like that, it's saying, look, there's many saints. There was a couple saints, and I'm always going to butcher the stories. It's terrible. I forget who it was, but just like a woman asked for healing. And the saint said, no, because if you were healed, then you would use your health for wickedness. It's like, oh my gosh, like if she was blind or something is what I wanted to see again. I was like, no, if you had your sight, you would not become a saint. And it's like, whoa. Okay. We have to recognize, what do we want? Do we want the will of God, or do we want our own pleasures? And so we recognize, look, having bodily pleasures is not worth it if it's leading us away from the Lord. Having entertainment is not worth it if it's leading us away from the Lord. Having conveniences is not worth it if we're not using it well. So let's take the Lord's word, because we're going to be salted with fire, and let's not be insipid. Let's ask the Holy Spirit that his fire would purify us and make us palatable so that the world would believe.